Hello, this is Johan from The Crown, and you're watching Richard Metal Fan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 353 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zoom, and I'm here with Johan Lindstrand, lead singer of Sweden's own The Crown. So, how are you doing today, Johan? It's so great to be able to have you on.
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's Saturday evening, and gonna have taco Saturday later on.
Yeah, you should
I'm
have
all
said,
good here.
yeah, you should have said that for Tuesday, Taco Tuesday.
Oh, okay. But I'm all good, man.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
great to be able to have you on. So, kind of what I want to talk about is sort of like your musical history and sort of do a rundown of your discography, but take me back to young Johan. So, growing up in Sweden, what were like the first bands that got you into metal and what made you want to be a vocalist?
Well, it all started very early in the 80s, like 80, 81 or something. My brothers were listening to Kiss and AC/DC. So I'm born in 76. So already like 4 or 5 year old, I'm starting to, listening to Kiss and AC/DC and stuff like that. And AC/DC was also my first concert when I was 12 years old, 1988 in Gothenburg. And around 88, 87, 88, we started to listen to, more heavier music like Metallica, Creator, Slayer. In school, I met a couple of friends that were had similar music tastes, so we listened to all the new stuff that came on, and there were like an older guy there that provided us with tapes with the latest, heaviest, and most extreme stuff. So yeah, I think like 87, 88, some around that time, I started to listen to more extreme music. And when we were in seventh grade, me and Magnus and Janne from The Crown, we were in school together and we started the band in 1990. I think we were 14 years old and nobody could play. So it was like more like, hey, what can you do? Okay, I tried bass, I tried the drums, and the only thing left was the vocals. So I had no choice but to try it out. So yeah. It came out like not very natural, but like yeah. And then we played a couple of years until we could play enough to record a demo. So we recorded the first demo in '93, "Forever Having Gone."
Yeah,
And
great one,
yeah,
great demo.
yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
We actually recorded on a compilation CD a year before that with different bands from the same town in Trollhättan, and it was all different musical styles there, pop music, and we were the only death metal band there. So that was our first recording. We recorded a song called "Last Rite" and "Beyond Where Darkness Dwells," and "Beyond Where Darkness Dwells" also is included on the first demo. Yeah, so that's where it started, 92, 93, with the real, the recordings of the first stuff,
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
yeah. And then going jumping right into 1995, the first album, The Burning. Love this album, and probably one of the best debut albums in like the whole Swedish metal scene. So, how was for you like the whole writing and record the whole writing and recording process, like being this was like the debut full-length Crown album?
Well, I mean, we were very young at the time, and a lot of the songs on that album came from the first two demos. And after the second demo, "Forget the Light," we sent it out to all kinds of labels, and everybody said no, basically, except for a label in Gothenburg, Black Sun Records. So we released it there. But the process was, I mean, we did those songs on a couple of years period, before actually going into the studio and record them, because they are all like kind of old songs. So it was like a process for 2, 3 years from the very first demo to the album '95. So yeah, it was a long process, but yeah, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, and this year does mark like 30 years of the burning. So, being as this album is now like 30 years old, do you have like a different perspective about it now as opposed to when you first put it out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very happy to hear that you think it's a great album. But I mean, we have done so many albums now. I'm looking back to it now. I'm extremely proud of it, of course, because that was the beginning. But song wise and stuff like that, it's you can hear that we were not mature enough to like we needed like 2 3 albums before we found our our thing, but yeah. And it's more, you can hear on that album, it's very divided, a lot of deicide sounding songs versus yeah. I mean, the song Candles, for example, it's very industrial compared to say the demon what is it's called, demon might, yeah. If you compare those two, it's very different. So we didn't have like a red line throughout that album yet, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like fair to say like you and then Marco and everybody who sort of like brings like their kind of like own style and influence into the crown.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, we all come from Marco. Marco is he didn't come from the same. He come from the same town, but a different area in Trollhättan. So he wasn't around when me, Magnus, and Janne started to listen to extreme music. So we have our influences, and Marco has he came in with different perspectives. So I think that's a really good mixture of inspirations. That we have come from different parts of the city and brought different inspirations to the table and made our sound. So, but we were on the first album we were trying to find our sound. Uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's a cool album for sure.
Definitely. And then I know
Yeah.
in the same year, 1995, I thought this was interesting because I always thought you were a vocalist, but I know you also play drums because that same year you did the Infernal Predomination demo with Impious. Like, tell me about that.
Yeah, I played a little in the beginning of the 90s. I thought it was fun because in the school we can always lend they lend us instruments when we are young in Sweden, so everybody can try out different instruments for free. So I tried it when I had the chance. So basically, the guys in Impious were having problems finding a drummer. So I was, just said, hey, I can help out. It was never intended to be like a real member of the band, but more like helping out. But it was really fun. We recorded that demo in punk guy's home studio in his villa. So it was really interesting setup during that demo. But yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Definitely. I haven't heard that demo for 30 years
Yes.
because
Y-
it was never digitalized. So I haven't
Yeah.
heard it since.
Yeah. Do you know where anybody could find it? Because I'm always curious to hear you like play the drums on that.
Yeah, I have the demo, but I can't play it
Oh,
because I don't have a cassette recorder. Yeah,
yeah.
cassette player. So yeah.
Yeah. But then kind of going back into the crown, the second album, Eternal Death, I loved this album because as usually with the debut full-length album, you have like your entire life to write and there's a lot of hype with the first album. When it came to making Eternal Death, did you felt like pressure to follow up The Burning?
I mean, I think every band has pressure to follow up the previous album, but I don't think we had too much fun to feel pressure. We were, flying very high because we were not everybody gets record contracts, and so we were like very happy about it. So, but you can of course hear the differences also. Both musically and sound wise, it's like more of a black metal feeling, if you ask me, compared to the burning. Very dirty and very more aggressive. and everything. So I think Magnus, he was into his black metal period
Yeah.
at that time, so he was like pushing that inspirations into the mix as well. So yeah, so that's basically and you can hear it's
Like,
almost a completely different band,
yeah.
if you
Like
listen to
even with
those
the
two. Yeah,
yeah, even with the song titles, you could tell it's like fucking
yeah,
metal. Like Angels Die, Kill the
yeah,
Priest, Priest
yeah,
of Blackheart. Like these are some fucking metal song titles,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we were growing older as well. I mean, during the 90s, where everything happened, in the beginning and stuff. I mean, everything happened so fast, and it could change from day to day what you felt, because there was so much music going on and you were so inspired by everything. So but at that time, like 97, it was I think it was our black metal year. An album which I'm really proud of course, but it's yeah, today, I mean, vocal wise, I'm screaming like hell, and I can remember the when we were in the studio, it was pure hell, because it was so much screaming, and the headache, my head was like pounding, and I was just screaming, and it's so
Yeah.
high pitched everything. So uh,
Yeah. I was like listening to that, I was like, holy shit, you were on
yeah,
fucking fire.
uh,
Yeah. But talking about like the touring wise, I believe you started like touring outside of Sweden for the first time. Like what was like your impression of like all those like countries in Europe? He's like, huh, this is different from Sweden.
I mean, yeah, we did our very first European tour, which was not that successful, except for one thing. We did like a couple of shows, 10 shows or something, for Eternal Death. And we actually went with the same, with the band from the same label, Sacrilege, if you have heard them.
Yeah, I've heard the
Uh,
name.
yeah, Daniel Svensson, that plays with Halo Effect now, and also In
Yeah.
Flames. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
love Halo Effect.
Yeah, and he was playing drums and writing the music for Sacrilege. So we went out touring, and Thomas actually sang with Sacrilege on that tour because they didn't have a vocalist. So that was our first meeting with Thomas Lindberg.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah, I mean, it was kind of chaotic, the first tour, not that very well organized. But we did one really good show, and it was in France on a festival. And during Black Heart, I had always on that song. I had a beer in my hand, and I kicked it out in the audience,
Yeah.
and it hit hit one guy in the head that was from Metal Blade Records,
Oh
and
shit.
he got very pissed about it. But
He's like, what the
later on,
fuck?
yeah, exactly. But he was extremely impressed by the show, so
Yeah.
he didn't care about having beer all over him. But yeah, and they signed us right after that tour. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, what was it like working with Metal Blade? Because they're like one of the best metal labels in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Metal Blade has been so tremendous for us during all the years. They have pushed us, and one of the guys there that signed us, Michael Klingert, he's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But he was, very into us, and he pushed us very hard, and they promoted us very well and everything. So yeah, we have a lot to thank for Metal Blade. So yeah,
Yeah.
really cool label.
Yeah. And then next up is Hell is Here. Another great album, like because I feel like this is right when the Crown sort of like became the Crown. So what was it kind of like going from like this to this? It's kind of hard to describe, really.
Yeah, the Hell is Here is probably the album where I think we found our, the core of what the Crown is today. Uh, Sound wise, the album is very strange, very weak. There's not much bass in it, but I think song wise, it's you can hear the death and roll stuff. mixed with extreme speed and energy, which which we brought on to the journey all the way to like 2025. So yeah, it's a great album. This is one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, yeah, especially like going like with a song like Electric Night has very a punk vibe, but then you go into like Black Lighting, which is just very thrash, and then The Devil in the Darkness has just really just a darker kind of vibe. So another album kind of like similar with the first, where it has like those different kind of like moods.
Yeah, that's the beauty with this band, and his has always been, because there's been always Marco and Magnus. Not always, but most of the time, on most albums, they have written 50% each, and Marco has brought the melodic death metal into it, and Magnus the more punkier style, and the more rockier style. So that has been very cool to bring into the mix. And then bring in Janne's infernal drumming into that whole mix. Yeah, I think it's this is where the band bloomed, definitely.
Yeah. And then next up is Death Race King. I love this album. I feel like it's like a next chapter in like the Crown sound, because I think I've talked with Marco about this, because you see with the first three albums, like cover wise, they almost feel like connected, like it's
Yeah,
also that same scheme. But I feel like with the Death Race King, it's sort of like another like chapter in the Crown like this discography. Would you say that's the case?
yeah, definitely. And also, I mean, today people are saying that this is our strongest effort, and I can agree about that. And I mean, it's a natural continuation of Hell is Here for sure. You have the same vibe in it, but it's more progressed and more mature compared to Hell is Here. But you have the same energy there. You have the punkier, but a bit more thrasher styles compared to Hell is Here. But you have the same core. Magnus and Marco together, writing. It's a great mixture.
Yeah. Yeah, and what was like the touring for like? Because I know you started like touring outside of Europe, and I believe you did like your first tour of the States on this album cycle. So what was like your first impression of us Americans?
I mean, I will always cherish that tour until the day I die, because it was very very good. I mean, touring wise, we started for Hell is Here seriously to tour. We toured with the Morbid Angel in '98, doing the like a festival tour with a lot of great bands. And then we had the chance to come to the States after Death Race King with Cannibal Corpse, Nile, and Christian, I think it
Yeah.
was. I mean, we did 5 weeks. I think it was 25 shows all over the country, and it was the support from the audience was always extremely intense, and everybody liked it, and we had a time of our lives, and yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking with Marcus a while back. He told me about like apparently like he met like some of the guys from Slipknot were watching you guys play, and I was like, wow. So did you get to meet like Corey Taylor or anybody?
I mean, I don't listen to Slipknot that much, or at all actually, but and I don't know if they had if they had released that many albums
They only
back
had
in
the first
2000.
album, but
Ah,
that was
okay,
it.
okay, okay, okay. Yeah, maybe he was there. I don't know actually, but I think Marcus knew that Corey was there somewhere. But yeah, I cannot tell that. Maybe he was there, but we met a lot of cool guys, and Kerry King was there. We gave him the album, and he was like, "Oh, I always wanted this album. I've talked to Metal Blade, but they never sent it to me." Blah blah.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was cool, and yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But then you toured for a little bit for Death Race King. It was until about 2001 or so, where you actually briefly left the Crown for a little bit. So how hard was it to sort of leave the band at the time?
thing is that I mean, this playing this kind of music is on this level is very hard because there isn't that much money. So you need to, you need to ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice everything you have to be out on the road for like 300 shows a year or whatever? I wasn't prepared to do that. So we did 60 shows on Death Race King, did like 2 major tours and a lot of festivals. And we didn't earn a dime. So I had to, tell the other guys that sorry, but I need to prioritize, family and job and everything. I need to pay my bills. It was the same for everybody, of course, but I was the only one that saw reality in its eyes, and actually did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course I regret it, but everything has a purpose, I think. So after I left, Thomas came in and did a tremendous work when they did, Crown and Terror. So that is a
Yeah.
classic album as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
no
I think,
regrets.
yeah, but I know it was like during that time you started up Incapacity in 2002. So how'd you get to know everybody and form that band?
I actually didn't. I did one show with them only because I think it was Drette from Edge of Sanity. I think he sang in Incapacity, but he couldn't do one of the shows. So Christian Elvestam asked me if I wanted to jump in and help them out. So I did that for one show. It was never intended uh, to be something more than that, actually. But yeah, during 2001, this is the only year that I haven't been active with death metal. I started very briefly to write my own music, very briefly, but then in 2002 I rejoined again, or they asked me to rejoin when they had when Thomas left. So yeah, and
Yeah.
since then it has been all the way until today
Yeah. Yeah.
with full focus on death metal.
Yeah, and then of course the next up is Possess 13. I like this album. I even funny enough have like this cover and the white cover. It's actually I was telling Marco about this because I remember ordering like the white cover. I think it was like on Amazon, but then when I opened the disc, it had like Gateways to Annihilation by Morbid Angel. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, but then I
Damn.
did complain about it to Amazon, but then I got a refund and but I did get the black cover for which and it believe it or not, not it actually what the disc fell out has the right disc.
Ah, cool, cool.
This so I just kept the white cover, so now I have both versions. So and
All right.
I thought it was kind of an interesting like from a marketing perspective, there's got to be diehard fans that will get both copies.
Yeah. And the black one there, is that cardboard? No, you don't have, because we released a Gigi pack as well.
Yeah, I just have the regular jewel case right here.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I think on the Gigi pack there are 2 CDs with the demos and everything, like bonus discs. So yeah, I think it's a good album, but today I have a hard time listening to it because sound wise, that's the thing with the Crown. All the years, all the albums we ever released, all the albums sound very, very unlike the other.
Yeah, it's
If you know
almost
what
like
I
you're
mean.
listening to a different band.
Exactly, and I mean this album particularly is it has so much bass. It's very, very strangely mixed. If you ask me, very strange. But of course, there are good songs. And on this album, I know that Magnus brought some of the old stuff. He like used some old riffs that we had in the beginning of the 90s and put him in a couple of new songs like Nada's Head Overdrive, which is an old from an old song that we had in 91, 92, like that was called Suicide. So he took those riffs and did a new song with it. So that's pretty cool to recycle old stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I still think it's a great album. But then the next thing for you is Crowned Unholy. I like this, which is of course is a remake of Crowned in Terror. So for you, what was that like? Sort of like singing the songs that Thomas Lindbergh sung.
Actually, already back then when we were planning it, I had difficulties, to accept to do it because I felt it to be unnecessary because I think that albums should stay the way they are. Uh, but it was like, I mean, Crown in Terror is a great album, of course, and Thomas has a unique voice. And it was like when we did Possess 13, the label Metal Blade asked us, "Hey, can you do a re-recording of Crown in Terror, so the fans can have all the albums with the same lineup?" And we said yes because they pushed Possess 13 in a way that we have never been, marketing before on any earlier albums. So we like, yeah, if you push Possess 13 the way you say you would, then okay, we do it. But I mean, re-recordings are not my favorite thing.
Yeah, I mean, some people will just like either take it or leave it.
Yeah, because the thing is that I felt, I mean, people weren't, they weren't, throwing shit at me, but I felt like the black sheep, stepping
Yeah,
in and doing, I mean, re-recording some other guy's voice. I mean, it's the
yeah.
same like if Dio, Ronnie James Dio, had gone in and re-recorded Ozzy Osbourne albums with Black Sabbath. It doesn't make any sense if you ask me, but
Yeah.
what can you do? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a long time ago.
yeah, but did you feel like also any pressure to sort of live up to sort of like Thomas Lindbergh's kind of like vocal style on Crowned Unholy?
No, I think I just did my thing to make it sound like me. The only thing that it's bad with it, we had a great duet, me and Thomas on Death Metal Holocaust, and this version didn't happen, on Crown of Holy because I do all the vocals there. So that's a shame. And Death Metal Holocaust on Crown of Terror is much better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but then it was around the time in 2004 where the Crown broke up. So for you personally, how hard was it to sort of like accept that the Crown is done?
I mean, it was I didn't want it. Me and Marcus, we were, very negative about it. It was basically, Marco, Magnus, and Jana that was wanted to leave. The thing is that we did a couple of really bad tours on Possess 13 in Europe, uh, and this was basically the reason for us being, going into this downward spiral where we felt like, is this really, what we want to do? Doing bad tours and listening to people, and the other guys started to have families with kids and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a lot of things going on there. But the thing is that I quit my job in just to focus on the Crown when they asked me back. So all of a sudden we are quitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is also like a thing because people think I have left the band several times. I have actually only left the band one time, and this was after Death Race King in 2000. The other time, the whole band wanted to quit, and also when they brought Jonas on the Doomsday King album. I was in the middle of doing stuff with One Man Army, so I
Yeah,
couldn't
which you led
rejoin.
me right into there. So after
Uh,
the Crown broke up, you formed One Man Army and the Undead Quartet.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how'd that band come to be?
I mean, it was based on, I think, frustration, basically, because I was not happy about the Crown calling it quits. Uh, Today, if we would have done it, maybe we'd just say, let's take a break. Let's take a break and wait it out 2 years and then come back. But it was unnecessary, I think. So it was frustration. So I started to writing songs, and recorded a demo with my friend Valle Adsik from Impius. He helped me out with drum machines and everything, and I recorded the guitars and stuff. It was a really strong way back for me when I got signed on the Nuclear Blast Records. So it was, and then I was starting with even more intensive touring than I had ever done before. So it was a step
Yeah,
in the right direction.
yeah. But tell me about that first One Man Army album, 21st Century Killing Machine. I thought that was a pretty good album. So what was that like, being that was sort of like a new band for you?
Well, I knew that I wanted to, continue with death metal, but I didn't want that intensity that we had in the Crown. I wanted a more like death metal, heavy metal feeling to it, like a ball thrower, more laid back, more simplicity, uh, more heavier styles of death metal compared to the Crown. That was my intention, and I think I love that album. It's a great album, and the best One Man Army album for sure.
Yeah, even like the title track kicks things off. It's very mid-paced, but then Devil of the Red Carpet has some really great melodic bits right in there. So it's like a totally different beast compared to with what you do with The Crown.
Yeah, definitely. But it felt natural for me to do it because the thing is, I am not a guitarist. I have guitar at home and I play and I write songs, but I cannot do technical stuff. So I do what I can, and I try to, I write simplicity, and but it becomes pretty strong in a way. So yeah.
Yeah. And then go, like literally the year later you did the next album, Error and Evolution. Like tell me about that, because it was like a quick turnaround. You just started writing for Error and Evolution right after 21st Century Killing Machine?
Yeah, and also, I mean, on the first album, I wrote 10 out of 12 songs. The other two guitarists wrote one each. But immediately when we released 21st Century Killing Machine, we went on tour with Children of Bottom, and we went on tour for 7 weeks and did 42 shows. And I think that during that tour, we started to get inspired by more melodic stuff because we were out with Children on Bottom during that long period. I think it's a natural way of when you're out with such bands, you get inspired by them because I love Children of Bottom,
Yeah,
and
same.
I guess And the guitar, one of the other guitar player there, it was a really big fan. So
Yeah, Rope.
he took a larger place in the recording writing process, and he wrote more songs for the second album, Error and Evolution, than he did on the first one. So yeah, it became more melodic for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And then Grim Tales, like another album. Like with those first three albums, they're like released like a year after each other, which is like what inspired you to just like have like album after album after album during those first three albums?
Yeah, I mean, we were extremely creative. Maybe too creative because the one of the guitarists quit after this album because I wanted to start writing immediately after we did a couple of tours, but he didn't want that, so he quit. But yeah, Grim Tales is probably the least favorite of mine when it comes to One Man Army albums. It's way more. I mean, there are some good songs there, but it sounds too mechanical. And I wasn't pleased with my voice at all at that time. I was struggling. Uh, During like 2008 and a couple of years ahead of that, I had problems with my voice, and I tried to sing like I did in the early days with the Crown, but it was hard for me. And this is the thing with vocalists, vocal cords and age. When you're aging, your voice is getting more mature. But I try to stick with how I sounded back in the days on Death Race King, Hell Is Here, but it didn't work out. So I'm not very satisfied with the results on those albums. But I think I've gained back the strength nowadays. But I have found new ways to sing more smooth these days. But yeah.
Yeah. And then of course your last record with One Man Army, The Dark Epic. I thought that was a pretty good album. So tell me about that.
Yeah, that's funny, but because we brought a guy called Jonas Blom into the picture. He's playing guitar, and he wrote almost 90% of the album. I wrote one song, I think, and he wrote the rest, and I wrote the lyrics. But he is still extremely creative. But back then, it was like I have 10 songs. Oh damn, and they sound really good. So yeah, we started to rehearse those songs, and we found a pretty good formula there on the last album there with his songs that fit the whole One Man Army concept. So yeah, it was a good finish, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, but then of course it was around the time where in 2012 where One Man Army broke up. So how hard was it to sort of end the band during that time period? Because I know it was around that time you rejoined up with the Crown.
Yeah, and also I talked to Marco actually in 2008 already, and that already in 2008 the Crown wanted me back before they did Doomsday King. And I had a meeting with Marco, but I told him I'm not interested because I'm in the middle of launching my new album with One Man Army, so I don't have the time for it. Sorry. So they brought in Jonas Stålhammar to do Doomsday King, but then again, in 2011, after Dark Epic was released, I was a bit tired of the whole One Man Army and the Undead Quartet thing because it felt like there have been so many lineup changes. I didn't feel I didn't feel at home anymore with that band. So like, and also Marco came to me once again to ask me to rejoin. So I was like, damn, maybe this is the time for me to do it. Finally come back to the Crown where I think I belong. Yeah, it's always hard to quit bands and take these kind of decisions, but because there are always different people involved as well. I mean, just because I rejoined the Crown, that means that four other guys in One Man Army all of a sudden doesn't have a band. So yeah, it's a bit egoistic if you, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, but then going into Death Is Not Dead, I thought this was a pretty good comeback album for you. So what was it like being like in the studio with the Crown guys again?
This album is very, very strange because Janne quit the band in 2013. And then all of a sudden, we didn't have a drummer. And Marco and Janne talked to each other. And Marco has always been, a pretty solid drummer. He's like he plays more smoothly and more has a more simplicity to it, like Lars Ulrich style. So he started to practice to do the drums, and we waited for like 6 months for him to have the stamina and the technique for to do it. But you can tell on the album that it's not that speed. It's not that the intensity. It lacks intensity, if you ask me. But of course, there are some good songs on it. I'm still proud of it, but it's not the most popular Crown album.
Yeah.
If you ask a random death metal guy on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course
But
like
it's, I mean,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, but of course like you also started working now with Robin been on guitar. So was that like your first time meeting him? Like what was like your first impression of him?
he was a friend actually back because as we spoke about before, I did demo for Impious, the first demo. He played bass on that demo, and then he played guitar for them all the way until they quit. So we knew him since the beginning of the 90s, or in the middle of the 90s, like 94 or something. So he had been friends with us for a long, long time. So we knew that he could pull it off. So it was basically we had a festival show in 2012 where Marcus couldn't join. So we asked Robin to step in, and he had like 3 or 4 weeks or something to learn like 12, 13 songs, and he did it really good. So he was the obvious choice when we decided to get a new guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah, and then of course you also did a cover of Paradise Lost's Eternal. I thought that was a really good cover. So what made you guys decide to like cover that song in particular?
That song has been mine and Marco's one of the favorite Paradise Lost songs from the early stuff. And Marco is an extremely big Paradise Lost fan. I'm not that big fan, but I like a lot of stuff they have done. But
Yeah, like Draconian
Eternal
Times is a
is a
great
great
record.
song. Yeah, but Gothic is great as well, and also the new album actually is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eternal is a great classic, and it was easy also because I don't think there are any leads on that song. I can't remember. Is it? Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember, but yeah, it's a good song for sure.
Yeah, and of course this year does also mark 10 years of Death Is Not Dead. So how do you feel about this album 10 years later? Because I feel like it was also the start of where you're currently at right now. This, I guess, the third phase of the Crown career.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's a good album. If you put aside the fact that Marco is playing the drums, I would have had. I mean, Marco is saying the same thing. We would have. We should have, get because Henrik Axelsson started with us not long after this. He
Yeah,
did actually. He did the cover songs on this
yeah,
album. So I mean, we should have asked him to do the whole album. It would have been easier for all parts. But yeah, there are some good songs there for
yeah,
sure. Iblis Bane and stuff, and the Headhunter. But I really like him. But
yeah.
yeah.
And then going into Cobra Speed Venom, I thought this was a pretty good album. First album with Henrik Rick on the drums. So did he maybe bring something like new rhythmically to the Crown that you all didn't have previously?
No, not really. If you listen, I mean, Henrik is a great guy, great friend, and he's like a machine on drums. He never plays any faults during shows. No mistakes at all. Pure machine. The first show he did with us in Gothenburg, the Sticky Fingers, I think it's on YouTube. He had like 40 degrees of fever. It was like feeling shit, but he pulled it off anyway. So, but music playing wise, I think he has a more simpler style than Janne had. It's more straightforward. And often when we do songs, when we write songs, Marco, especially Marco, has already the drum parts almost 100% done before. Hey, can you play this? Can you play that? Yeah, but when it comes to Magnus songs, it was more like trying out stuff. But yeah, it's a more simpler style of drumming, but like a machine. Great guy, great guy.
Yeah, and of course you also worked with Frederick Nordstrom at Studio Fredman. So what was it like working with him? Because he's a legendary producer in like the whole like Scandinavian metal scene.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with him first on Death Race King, so we knew him from before. Also, Possessed 13 we did in Feldmans, but you cannot tell it's the same studio because it's so
Yeah,
different. But yeah, he's a great guy to work with, very easy to work with. Comes like 1 hour from our hometown in Gothenburg, so yeah, great guy. We did 2 albums with him because you know what you get when you hire him, so yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I love like this album artwork. It almost looks like a wave made out of like demon faces and shit. Like who did this artwork? Because this is one of the best like Crown album covers to date, probably in like my top 10.
Yeah, it's amazing cover. Actually, it was a guy called Christian Sloan, I think. I think he's an American living in Scotland. He's doing a lot of Viking stuff. He has done, stuff for Amon Amarth, and he's doing everything by, by hand, like with a pencil, and
Yeah,
then coloring it afterwards. So yeah, he's doing old school drawings, which we love, and that's why we hired him for also Royal Destroyer, because
yeah,
you can tell that it's all you can tell, the blue stuff. It's and the whole
yeah,
atmosphere of the two cover arts are
yeah.
pretty similar.
Yeah, same. Because I know you started touring for Clover Speed Venom for like 2 years from 1819. Then of course the pandemic happened, which during that time I know really fucked up the whole music industry and stuff. And it was a hard time for a lot of like musicians and bands during that time period. So for you personally, how did you like manage to cope with that? And was it around that time you started to like write for Royal Destroyer?
Yeah, I think we started to write then. I mean, the thing, we didn't suffer as much as different bands that, make a living out of this. We have never made a living out of playing death metal, so we didn't bother to trying to find solutions to get money or whatever, because a lot of bands did, the online concerts where you could pay to watch them. I know that Paradise Lost did that, I think, and a lot of bands did that, like online shows. But we didn't feel the necessity to do that. We just, laid back at home writing, I guess. And I think Royal Destroyer came out in two,
Yeah,
2022,
21. It
maybe
was March
21.
12th,
Okay.
March 12th,
Okay.
2021.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we had a lot of time to do it, so there was no pressure.
Yeah, and I definitely think it's like you were talking like these two are similar or connected, similar like the first three albums. Was that sort of
Yeah,
like intended to be, or was it just like a coincidence?
I think we even talked about doing using Christian Sloan on a third album as well, like make a trilogy out of it. But it never happened for some reason. I don't know why, but we talked about it, and that would have been cool. Three albums, similar style. Like a trilogy. But yeah, we never did that.
Yeah, and then talking about your latest album, Crown of Thorns, which, funny enough, this year does mark 1 year ago today. Like this album came out. So how has like the whole like album cycle been like for Crown of Thorns?
It has been great. I mean, it was received very well, both with by the critics and the fans, and it's a great album. We actually had a lot of songs to choose from. We Marco had like 15 songs or something, and we chose like 10 out of them because we needed to push ourselves. Like this song, it doesn't cut it. Let's use the next one or the next one, or so we waited it out until we had 10 or 11 really great ones that could describe the crown in one album, and you can hear it's a lot of old school stuff where we go back to the 90s with the melodies, as well as some new stuff there. So yeah, you can hear basically all our career in that album in some ways.
Yeah, yeah, but musically, did you want to like pick up where you left off after Royal Destroyer? Or with this album, you wanted to try something different that the Crown hasn't done before?
I mean, Marco is always telling, I don't want to repeat myself. Nobody wants to repeat themselves, of course. But he always talks about, dare to do something new and that has never been done before by us. But I think, differently, because I want the sound to remain intact. You can always do, small changes, but I want, the sound to remain intact. When you put it on, I want it to sound like a Crown album. You should immediately, recognize this is a really good Crown album. It's nothing, not any new stuff that cannot be recognized. It's that we are different when we approach these kind of matters. But yeah, that's my approach on it. I want it to be full on the Crown.
Yeah. Yeah, and what would you say like the lyrical themes and ideas are for Crown of Thorns?
I mean, it's Marco has written a couple of stuff there, and it's more personal to him when he writes. I tend to write more, I mix some reality mixed with fantasy and horror when I write. So yeah, it's hard to say, but earlier on when Magnus wrote most of the lyrics and stuff, it was basically more, depths, more evil, satanic stuff. Not always, but most of the time. But I try to, basically more fantasy and horror when I write, and mix it with some real stuff like shit that's going on in the world right now. It's yeah,
Yeah.
hard to
And
say.
yeah, and of course this is also the first album with of course new rhythm section. You got Matthias and Michael. How did they end up joining the Crown and what was it like working with them?
Yeah, it's gone great, man. Matthias is actually a friend with Henrik Axelsson. Uh, so he started out before Henrik left. I think they got to do one show together, and they live in the same town, Mariestad, working at the same job together. So they know each other since a lot of years back. But he's a great guy. He's a more punkier guy. He doesn't listen that much to metal. Uh, but yeah, he fits the band perfectly. And Michael, he played with Impious before, so we knew him from the '90s. He's a couple of years younger than us. I think he's like 10 years younger than me. But he's probably the best drummer we've had in this band. He's a complete machine, and yeah, he's a speed freak. He loves to play fast, and he has a great technique, and he's great in everything he
Yeah.
do.
Same,
So
same. I
yeah,
agree. Agree. Even still killing it now
uh,
with Imminence as well.
yeah, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then talking about like the lyrics, because for you being a vocalist, do you have to like put yourself in like a certain mind frame in order to come up with lyrics, or do they just come like very naturally and organically?
For me, I mean, it comes in periods. Sometimes, I mean, I've started a new band now, uh,
Wow.
and I think I wrote like 10 songs in just a couple of weeks or something. It comes very natural when I start. Uh, but it's yeah, it's going in periods. Sometimes, I mean, after I think after straight after we had done Crown of Thorns, I just said I don't have anything more in me. It's completely empty,
Yeah.
and this is something that has been after all albums, Marco as well. "Oh, this is the last song, so I cannot write any more death metal, so I don't have it in me anymore, blah blah." And then it takes like 2 months, and then you have half an album.
Yeah.
So it's very up and down.
Yeah.
But for me, lyrically, I think it comes pretty natural.
Yeah. Nice. And then still talking about Crown of Thorns, I of course hence the album title was sort of the original name of the band. Would you say like this album sort of like comes in like full circle?
I think so, because it's a funny thing. The cover art, it's basically taken from a bridge here in town, uh, where we took a picture of it, and then we enhanced it with the skull, yeah, and everything. But the bridge itself comes from Trollhättan, where we live, and then you have like a statue on it in the middle of the bridge, uh, like, and it's called something. It's like a entity. It's basically symbolizes an entity underwater, draining, bad people or something. So it was pretty cool to use that, and also Crown of Thorns, full circle,
Yeah.
so it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and then talking about your live show because I've yet to see The Crown, but that will change next in May next year when I see you at Maryland Death Fest. So playing live must be different than like recording an album. Is there like a similar energy between the two, or are they kind of like completely separate?
I mean, it's a extremely intensive, like if you play 60 minutes or something, it's after that show you are completely drained. It's the intensity, the energy, and everything. It's completely different, and you have to, be aware of that when you go up. You cannot, think that it needs to sound exactly like the albums, blah blah blah. No, you need to, focus the energy during the whole show. So it's a different approach compared to album. At the same time, you want to approach it the best you can, and to make it sound like, the songs deserve to be sounded like. So yeah, it's of course two different things, but yeah, I love playing live. Some songs I won't play live because they are too intense to do vocal wise, and I've told that to the guys. We have like songs on Eternal Death, for example,
Yeah.
Serpent Garden, for example. The lyrics go on and on and on and on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and I'm like, dude, I
when
need to breathe.
exactly. So I mean, of course, there are. When you do that in the studio, you're using, two channels. You don't sing everything in a row, so yeah.
Yeah.
So and to do that live, it's, yeah, it doesn't work,
Yeah, yeah, but you have like so many albums, Johan, like
yeah.
12, like 11, 12 albums. Like it must be hard to like put like a set list together because there's always going to be those diehard fans that want like deep cuts from like The Burning and stuff. So how hard is it to like put like a set list together after having like so many albums for so many years?
Yeah, I mean, we have what we have now, 150 songs or something, and 11 albums or something. Yeah, it's extremely difficult to put out a set list, because we have. It's funny that you say that, because we have actually discussed this very intensely within the band for a couple of years now, and I'm always, into doing more deep cuts, songs that we have never played or songs that we rarely play. I want that, but it's always a struggle to get it done within the band, because then you have, the songs that you need to do every show, and if you only have like 45 minutes or 60 minutes, like for example Maryland Death Fest, I don't know, do we have 60 minutes? I don't know, but that means that maybe 12, 13 songs maximum
Yeah.
for a 60-minute, 150 songs, and bring that down to 12 songs. it's
Yeah.
it's not easy.
Yeah, it's kind of a venture, man. But this year
Yeah,
this year is also another special year because this year does of course mark 35 years of The Crown as a band. You gotta think about it, Johan. 35 years. Like, did you think like The Crown would be around for 3.5 decades and just it's just hard. Like, do you even think that you'd be around for so long?
definitely not. It's insane when you think about it, actually, because when we started, it was like we were five guys, being in, high school, and just having fun. We didn't think. It was first when we did like Hell Is Here, when we got the label, Metal Blade behind us, when we thought that, damn, this could, be something large. And then we got to play at Wacken 2003 in front of, 15,000 people. So yeah, but everything goes in, cycles, I think, and that's. I mean, you have as you said before, we have like three different episodes in the Crown history, and yeah, I didn't think that we would reunite and then we would be here, 35 years later. And yeah, it's insane. But yeah, I'm happy that we can still deliver.
Yeah, like, but what would be like a bucket list goal for the crown? Like for you personally, like what would be a thing like be like, man, wouldn't it be awesome if we did that?
There are still a couple of countries that we would love to play in. Actually, we would love to play in Australia, for example, maybe South Korea or something. I think because I see death metal bands playing in South Korea, so that would have been really cool. And also, it would be really great to do another tour in the States.
Yeah,
But I doubt it will happen, because it's insane when it comes to visas. Playing at Maryland Death Fest is a certain visa that is only valid for that show.
yeah,
So if we would stay, doing like a 3 week tour there, 4 week tour there, we need a real working visa, which is like $10,000 or something. It's
wow,
insane.
that shit ain't cheap,
So
man.
no, no, no. So it's plus it's hard to get over there now and play. So it's hard for every band. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, of course there's always bucket lists. But yeah,
yeah. Who knows? Maybe you'll play Antarctica. Metallica did it.
exactly. So that would have been cool.
But it was great to be able to chat with you, Johan. Just thank you for this
Right.
conversation. I know latest album came out a year ago today. It's just anything else with the Crown you'd also like to plug in terms of tours and stuff. And I am looking forward to seeing you at Maryland Death Fest in May.
Yeah, that would be great. No, I mean, thank you very much for this. I rarely do interviews. Marco is handling that stuff
Yeah,
because he loves doing it. So I very very rarely do. I don't think I did one interview for Crown of Thorns.
yeah. Until now.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think this was really fun. So thank you very much, Richard. Yeah,
Yeah, anytime, Johan. So everybody,
yeah.
Johan Lindstrand from the Crown, and we'll see you next time.